Hi, this is Dan Heisman, Philly tutor for Chess FM. This is the Improve Your Chess video series for ICC members. Just want to repeat what I said at the end of the last video, which is we're a little low on amateur videos right now, amateur games for our videos. So if you do have a game you'd like to submit for our consideration, please don't message me on the ICC, but instead email me through my website, danheisman.com. Put the game in your ICC library. If you don't know how to do that, help libraries is the right command. Put the game in your library and then email me the number in your library and your handle. For instance, if your handle is Fred, you might say, 27 in library Fred or %27 Fred, something like that in the email. And we'll put it in the queue and we'll take a look and consider it. Now, I prefer games where you play against humans, and I prefer games where you have at least 30 minutes with a bigger increment, or better, even better, 45 minutes or more. Today's game is a 25-10 game. That's a little fast, but let's take a look at it. All right, so today white opens up with e4. Black plays c5 Sicilian, and now there's basically two ways to play against Sicilians. There's open Sicilians, where white plays knight f3 and then plays d4, and then there's anti-Sicilians, where he doesn't. So let's see what white does. White plays knight c3. That could transpose into an open Sicilian, but more often not. Black plays knight c6. That's the most common move against knight c3, and it's the most flexible. Black is trying to take control of that d4 square. White plays g3. That's the signal for the closed Sicilian. You'd think the closed Sicilian would be opposite of the open Sicilian, but these days the closed Sicilian is just one of many anti-Sicilians. So actually the opposite of open Sicilian is anti-Sicilian. All right, and black plays d6. That's a little unusual. The most common move is to play g6 here. And also fianchetto, the second most common move is to play e6 and then d5. So d6 unnecessary. There's some lines where you want to play d7 to d5 in one move. Not a terrible move, of course, but a little bit unusual. You don't see too many grandmasters playing that move in this position. White plays bishop g2, and again, g6, number one move. And black plays knight f6. All right, so white here, number one move is going to be d3. Number two move is going to be knight on 1 to g2. He plays knight f3, and apparently the computer doesn't think he can get much of a big advantage out of that. Here it suggests that black should play e5, and he's not really setting up a Botvinnik system, because on a Botvinnik system the knight would go to e7, but e5 does put the clamps on d4 for a long time, and the computer thinks that black's already equal if he does that. Black plays bishop g4, pretty much signaling he's going to give up the bishop pair to try to control the d4 square. White plays h3 and says, all right, if you're going to play there, either give me that bishop pair or go away. Makes sense. And black decides to go away and play bishop d7. And white says, okay, well then you're not controlling the d4 square anymore, so I can open up the line with d4. He could also, of course, keep it in a more closed position with d3 or castles. Black takes, as you usually do in Sicilian. So now we actually have transposed into sort of a fianchettoed open Sicilian. All right, and black plays g6. And now white makes an unusual move. The game's pretty even either way, but he moves his knight a third time and trades it for black's knight that has only moved once, essentially losing 2 tempo. And now black has the opportunity to put an extra pawn in the middle of the board with b takes c6. That's probably what I would play, but he plays the reasonable move, bishop takes c6, putting a little pressure on e4, but in the long run, probably better to have the pawn in the middle. And now white should probably just castle. I tell my students, if you're in a position where you can castle and there's no tactics, and you're not sure what to do, then castling is probably going to be closer to the right move than any other random move you could pick. So in these kind of positions,